see you too.
Wow, that was just absolutely lovely. Can you tell us what instrument that is and what family of instruments it's from?
Sure. So this is the clarinet. Let me go back a bit so you can see the whole length of the clarinet. The clarinet is part of the woodwind family. And the woodwind family, if you know that we have the flute, we have oboe, bassoon. The clarinet is a woodwind instrument and it's really made out of wood. This is what we call blackwood or African blackwood. It grows in Africa and they import it and they um, make little tubes out of the wood and drill it and shape it, and it takes about 5 years until you get a clarinet.
Wow, 5 years. I didn't know that. That's such a long time to make one. Do you have to be
Mhm.
really patient?
Well, yeah, you have to be patient. You have to let the wood dry, and the companies they make it, and they know how to do it. I don't know how to make a clarinet.
Oh, that's amazing. So you mentioned that this was part of the woodwind family. How do
Right.
you make noise on it?
So every instrument in the woodwind family is making its own sound via vibrations. And usually the air column, that's why it's called woodwinds. We blow air into the horn. In my case, we are the single reed family. The saxophone is also, which is basically the clarinet is the ancestor of the saxophone. Both instruments use a single reed. And if you can see, this is the mouthpiece. If I take this reed off, I'll show everyone. See, there's a little window here, and this is the reed. And the reed vibrates between the mouthpiece and my lips. And those vibrations with the air are going through the entire tube of the clarinet. And I'm changing the length of the tube by adding more fingers, extending the length of the tube. And obviously, the longer it gets, the lower the sound. The shorter it gets, the higher the sound is.
Well, speaking of high sounds and low sounds, I'm wondering what are some of the highest sounds you can play and some of the lowest sounds you can play?
Sure. So the clarinet is a really cool instrument, and composers love the instrument because it's so flexible and can do so many things, and its range is also very, very wide. So I can go from low E or concert D, which sounds like that, to high C or high B flat concert, which is more than 3 octaves. I would say it's close to 4 octaves. So it's quite crazy what this instrument can do.
Wow, it sounds like it. That was a really, really high pitch.
Mhm.
It surprised me. So I'm wondering, can you play something fast for us today?
Sure, sure. I'll play something fast that is the opening to Rigoletto Fantasy that is written for clarinet and piano. I'll just do it just the beginning.
Oh, that was so neat. And I loved watching your fingers move. They were moving awfully fast during that as well.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to move quite quickly in music, you have to move also your fingers.
Sure. So I'm wondering then, can you play something slow so we can really watch your fingers
Sure,
this time
sure.
too?
I'll play now. I'm going to change clarinets. Imagine that. I have two clarinets here. As clarinet players in the orchestra, we actually have several clarinets. Each one is in a different key. And this clarinet, even though it looks a bit or almost the same, it's by about of an inch and a half longer. And this is what we call a clarinet, which has a bit of a deeper sound. And I'll play the second movement from the Mozart Concerto, which is slow.
exactly. So it sounds like you can play fast, you can play slow. I'm wondering though, when it comes to dynamics, is it
Hmm.
possible to get super quiet or super loud on your instrument?
Yeah, I remember when I said composers love the clarinet because it's so flexible. So not only that the clarinet can play very low or very high, the clarinet is one of the only instruments that can play extremely, extremely soft or very, very loud. So I'll play something that is quite soft, not too soft, so at least you can hear me via Zoom. I have to kind of magnify it just a bit. And this is the opening of the Tchaikovsky Fifth Symphony, where both clarinets in the orchestra play the solo.
Oh, that was so nice. I wanted to take a nap. It was so nice and calm. So that was a beautiful quiet sound. Now,
Mhm.
how loud can you get on a clarinet?
Oh, the clarinet can get quite loud. Let me change to the other clarinet, which is the B flat clarinet, which is the more common clarinet. And I'll play for you something that I think some people might recognize. And it gets loud.
That was loud and familiar. I feel like I may have heard you play that before at some point.
Yeah, this
Is
is
that something that
that's
you've
right.
played with the symphony?
That's right. I played it several times. This is the opening bars from Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue, a very famous solo for the clarinet, and it gets rowdy. So the clarinet can definitely do that. Can open up and play extremely loud and just hover above the entire orchestra and reach the last person in the audience. That's what the clarinet can do.
That's so neat. So it sounds like you are just so accomplished. How old were you when you started playing?
So when I started the clarinet, I was 12, I think, which is not the youngest when you think about musicians when they're kids. If you start piano or violin, start when you're 4 years old or five. The problem with the clarinet is it's it's kind of awkward the size if you're a little kid and your fingers are a bit too small and cannot cover the tone holes. And also lung capacity has not developed yet by that time. So many clarinet players have to wait until they're old enough. Many of them, me not included, but many other clarinet players start on the recorder, which is the ancestor to the clarinet. And that's an instrument that you can start when you're really, really young. So then you can kind of grow up and then advance to the clarinet. Even though nowadays they also make clarinet that is made out of plastic and it's very small and doesn't have tone holes. Everything is covered, and that's geared for like really young kids. So that's a new invention that just came about in the past 10 years. But before that, you had to wait.
Sounds like there's a lot of waiting. You have to wait to play it, you have to wait
Absolutely.
till it's made. And by the way, I keep my recorder handy.
There you go.
So, why, of all the instruments in the world, why did you choose the clarinet?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. When I was a kid, um, I really wanted to play the drum set. and I heard the drums, and it was really cool. And then in my town, when there was a wind band, and they selected kids to play instruments, and they said, "Well, yeah, you can play a drum set, but what will be your other choice?" And the night before that, my dad saw on TV there was a clarinet player that demonstrated the sound of the clarinet in one of the nightly shows. And he told me, that's kind of a cool instrument. You should choose the clarinet. And for my, I guess, luck and for my future, the drum set was already taken. So they gave me my second choice, which was the clarinet. And it stuck. So sometimes your second choice is something that will be for with you for life and in a good way.
Yeah, that absolutely sounds like it worked out.
Worked out.
So, when you are practicing, do you spend a lot of time practicing, or are you at the point where you don't do so much practicing
Well,
anymore?
we always practice. As young musicians know, they have to spend a lot of time practice, and it takes a lot of effort and patience and concentration to practice hours to master the instrument, and it's a lifetime goal of mastering the instruments because we never stop as professionals to master the instrument. We never really reach a point when we say, you know what, I'm so good, I don't need to practice anymore. That doesn't really happen to any serious musician. We have to keep practicing, we have to keep playing. And since music is part of our life, it's not just a job that we do and then we stop. We just keep doing it because it's part of who we are. So practicing is something that is part of me. I'm practicing for hours every day just to keep everything going. Unfortunately, nowadays we don't have many concerts. But in normal times, every musician, especially professional musician, besides playing concerts, we also have to keep our chops. So we have to, like athletes, we have to keep doing it. Otherwise, you can't really play.
I like that analogy of being a little bit like an athlete. Do you ever play and try to dribble a basketball at the same time? Or
No, that will be maybe beyond my abilities, but I'm sure someone can can do something like that. Fortunately, I need both of my hands to hold a clarinet.
right, right, right. I noticed that. So I know that you've been a part of the Lansing Symphony for quite
Mhm.
some time.
That's right.
What is your favorite part of playing in a symphony?
Wow, that's a good question because it's playing in a symphony orchestra is nothing like nothing else. In a way that when you play in an orchestra, um, whether we're playing something that is scaled down to maybe a 50-piece orchestra, 50 members are playing to that could be like a Beethoven symphony, all the way up to more than 100 people when you play a Mahler symphony. It's a very interesting experience, a very wonderful experience that you cannot get in anything else in life. To be part of this massive amount of sound, um, kind of being taken away with the music, you kind of let yourself get inspired by your friends that are playing next to you. It's a way to communicate. You not only that you listen to your friends and you communicate through them with music or with the conductor, there is a communication. You also communicate with the audience, and of course we communicate ideas and feelings of composers who some of them still alive, some of them died 200 years ago, which is something quite unique when you think about it. This kind of relationship of connecting people, whether they're alive or not, with music and emotions and colors and excitement. And to be inside that in an orchestra, that's quite an experience.
It sounds like it. That's such a great description of what it's like to be in an ensemble. I love it. So, is there anything else that you feel would be important to share about being a professional musician?
Yeah, I think being a professional musician is not. something that serve us only as musicians. We bring joy and beauty to other people, and that's what we do. And I think we get a lot of enjoyment out of that. When I play and I see people kind of getting excited or get emotional or get a big wow of what the clarinet can do, that's fun because it's not only about me, it's about the music. It's about, again, this kind of connection that we all share. And I think as a professional musician, we have this duty, I think, to keep that in our life for other people to hear. And hopefully for the kids, when they hear clarinet and they hear violin and they get excited and maybe they want to be a musician, you also want to share that joy with other people. So it's kind of, it keeps going, and it goes like that for generations, and I hope that it will keep going like that forever.
That's wonderful. I agree. I hope so too. So it's so rare that we get the opportunity to just listen to a clarinet by itself. Usually I feel like I hear them in a band or in a symphony. I'm wondering, is there just one more thing that you could share with us today, play for
Sure,
us today?
I played a bit of, let me change the clarinet again. I played the second movement from the Clarinet Concerto by Mozart, and I'll play maybe a bit of the beginning. The Mozart Clarinet Concerto is a very beautiful, really one of the greatest works written for clarinet or any kind of instrument, and Mozart wrote it right before he passed away. He passed away pretty young, and he wrote quite a lot of music, and he fell in love with the clarinet. He had a good friend that played the clarinet, Anton Stadler was his name, and Anton Stadler asked this maker to make a clarinet that's actually longer than this A clarinet, goes even to low C, and it's called a Bassett clarinet, and which nobody else had. So imagine you come to your friend that writes music, you say, hey, look, there's a new instrument that was invented, no one else knows about it, write something for it. And Mozart, as we all know from letters and from musicologists knowing that he had great humor and liked a lot of kind of cool things, he said, great, yeah, of course I will write something. And he wrote one of the most amazing pieces. So I'll play just a bit the opening solo line of the Clarinet Concerto.
Oh, that was so much fun. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for
you're
sharing your
welcome.
talent with us today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.